Jones in motion. Book looked that way. Now he'll keep it. Cut back and score. So a measure of redemption for the Irish quarterback.
Book rolling, throwing for the end zone, and caught in the back of the end zone. Touchdown.
Wes Bryant here with Eric Hansen from the South Bend Tribune. ACC storylines, talking about the newest member of the ACC, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Eric, coming into this season, Notre Dame, everybody looks at them as perhaps the second best team in the ACC, or maybe the best. Is that the mood around this football team?
Well, I certainly think that's the goal, and I think that's the kind of ceiling that this team has. Now, if you look at Clemson, I still think you go up and down their lineup and you can make a lot of comparisons that Clemson has the better players there, but I think Notre Dame feels they're in a very strong position to get to the championship game and maybe play Clemson a second time there.
Ian Book, one of the nation's best quarterbacks, had a great year last year. Where do you see him in his development as he enters his final season in South Bend?
The next step for Ian is being able to play big in the big games. Ian's stats, when you look at them against good, average, and not so good teams, is really good. Ian needs to play big in a big game. And I think that's the next step in his evolution. And that's what you expect from a third-year quarterback. I think one of the keys to that is being better in the downfield vertical passing game. You know, he has not been able to kind of loosen up a defense. And you see them moving their safeties closer and closer, stuffing the run and making Notre Dame one-dimensional. It's kind of been a similar script. You know, they're 33-6 the last 3 years, and the 6 losses all have very statistical similarities. And one of them is no running game and him not having a very good game.
Notre Dame has to replace a lot of skilled guys around him. Is he going to be the catalyst for this offense, or are these guys just names that we haven't gotten to know yet and will become stars as the season goes along?
Well, I think they certainly have a lot to prove. The interesting thing, Wes, is that the players that are coming up that you don't know their names, they are the people they recruited in response to losing to Clemson. So you have a lot of really athletic, fast players with not a lot of experience, both at running back and wide receiver. And it's going to be interesting, and tight end. And it's going to be interesting how quickly they get them up to snuff. But they have things that they didn't have the last time they played Clemson. Speed, they have depth, you know, with their speed. The running back position is probably the biggest question mark on the team. They do have a very highly touted recruit, Chris Tyree, who's not going to start for them, but I think is going to get a lot of touches. They're really eager to kind of unleash him and see what he can do.
So what would it mean to this fan base for Notre Dame to come into the ACC for their first and more than likely only season and to win the ACC Championship?
Well, I think it would mean a lot more given who else is in the league. I mean, Notre Dame measures itself by national championships and national appearances and so forth. I think people are getting into this ACC thing, though. I think it's really kind of neat how they've embraced it. But I think it would mean something to them to win an ACC championship. But the prize that goes with that is really what they're eyeing, the playoff spot.